The following program on BSSD Television is produced by KBIA-FM, Mid-Missouri Public Radio, and the Reynolds Journalism Institute at the Missouri School of Journalism.
Welcome to the television edition of Radio Friends, where we feature guests from all over central Missouri. This week, we'll talk about artificial intelligence and energy-saving tips with the City of Columbia. All that and a lot more. So let's get started right now. What does the educator for the City of Columbia do?
I work with the public in various city departments and educating them about sustainable practices across many topics, everything from stormwater to electrical usage. I'm out in the schools, and I'm always meeting with our staff to discuss different ways we can be more sustainable.
Today, you wanted to talk about how to stay cool in the heat, right? Best way to stay cool in the heat.
Well, when we talk about this time of the year and the temperature starts to rise, you have to look at your utility savings, the overall cost. By setting your thermostat to about 78 degrees, which for some people is a little bit too warm, actually over the long term, you can save about 10% on your energy bill in the summertime. If
you set your thermostat at about 78 degrees.
Yes, sir.
What about, here's a question I have for you. Now, I keep the air on, but if it cools off at nighttime, and you shut the air conditioning off, which I like to do, and open the windows, okay? Then you hesitate turning it back on until later in the morning. In the meantime, the temperature's up to about 85 degrees or so. The house is getting warm. You close the windows, you turn the air on. Now the walls and the furniture and everything has gotten warm. That air conditioner actually has to work harder now, doesn't it?
And removing the moisture from the ambient temperature that came in. But most units today are a lot more efficient than they were 20, even 10 years ago.
Yes.
And I think when you're not running electricity like that in the evening and you're utilizing and letting fresh air in, you've got to think also your health in general. You're letting fresh air into the house, you're kind of airing things out, you're breathing in, the outside air and the oxygen. I don't think it's a bad practice at all.
Okay. As far as using fans, ceiling fans, it's really efficient to have that ceiling fan on running with the air conditioner, isn't it?
In the rooms that you're in. That's one of the things when we talk about raising the temperature on your thermostat up to about 78 is you get that cooling effect from a fan running. Most people maybe want the temperature to be a little lower, like maybe a 72 or a 74. But that air moving in the room, you actually, if you're used to a cooler temperature, you'll get that cooling effect.
Yes.
But you have to think, you only want to run fans in rooms that you're in.
Oh, doesn't it? See, I just keep my ceiling fans on all the time because I thought it was helping to circulate the cool air, pushing the warm air down from the ceiling down to the floor.
If you're home. I don't think it's a bad practice to have. But if you're gone all day like you are at work, I usually turn all of my fans off.
Oh, I keep them on all the time. Well, so it would be better to turn them off.
Well, you bring up a really good point, and it's one of the things that I always kind of talk to people about is phantom electricity. Having things on or plugged in that you don't use regularly, like maybe you have a second bedroom or a room down in the basement, and you have the old DVD player plugged in and it's just flashing 12 and it's constantly on, or clocks in rooms that are just there for when guests are there, but they're always plugged in. The ceiling fan can play the same role in that. It's the use of electricity in a room that nobody's using. You start taking those little things offline, you'll be very amazed to see how much electricity you'll save.
So you're not actually helping the air conditioner then by keeping the ceiling fans running in your house even if you're not in that room?
No, that's a personal thing for you.
Okay, so turn the ceiling fans off when you're not in the room.
Yes. Or a box fan or any fan that you have. Usually a room I sit in, it's hard for me at 78. I love a meat freezer. Boy, oh boy. If I could keep it down to 68, I would.
Yeah.
I'd store meat in my house. But, when you start looking at the long-term expense of that, then you're talking about your air conditioning constantly running.
One thing that we did last year was we put re-insulated the attic.
Yeah.
With 50 RV.
Yes, sir.
Okay? Now, I'm on Boone Electric, and I'm amazed, and I keep my thermostat set at 73 for the air conditioning. I know that's a little bit too cool, but let me tell you this.
It's okay.
I can justify it. How I justify it. I'm getting my electric bill.
I was just going to bring that up.
And they give you a chart. since I put re-insulated, I'm using 12% less electricity. 12% less electricity than I was the same period, keeping the temperature at a cooler level than it was before.
And that insulation makes a huge difference.
That insulation makes all the difference in the world. And it didn't cost that much to put 50 RV in the attic. And it really does make a difference.
You know, another one that we did at my house, I'm a big window person. We have a lot of windows, and I don't want drapes. I don't want, you know, I love having the windows open. Last year during the COVID event, we went out and we got a really good deal on some insulating drapes and put them in a lot of our rooms. And we saw an 8% reduction in our heating bill, and it's going to be interesting to see where we are this year with the cooling. And you just don't realize, even when the windows are well sealed, just that light coming in and the heat that's transferred off the glass makes a huge difference.
Yeah, well, it's neat that Boone Electric on their hub app that you have on the phone, it tells you daily what you're using, and my electricity rate was down 12, and that was even with this really hot weather that we had earlier in June. Yeah.
Well, you know, so does the City of Columbia as a water and light utility. Most major utilities now show that information on their billing statements, or you can go online and check it out. And it is a really good thing to experiment with when you're talking about savings, because in the long haul, when you look at the longevity of a year, that can be quite a bit of savings.
Yeah, it can. All right, Mike, if people want more information about any of this, what's the city website they can go to?
They can go to the City of Columbia's website at como.gov and search any of the topics we talked about today. We have great information on the city's website. And also, I'd like to say that we have a really well set up social media on Facebook, where you can go to Como Sustainability, where we post all kinds of tips and information on a daily basis about things that you can do around your house in regards to not only what you can do outside your home, but what you can do inside your home to help save money.
You're here to tell us about the upcoming production of Give 'Em Hell, Harry.
I am. This is very exciting for us because before the coronavirus hit, the show was playing big cities like Chicago and Memphis, and we were able to get it. This is the first time a living relative of a president is portraying their famous relative, and this is Clifton Daniel, who is Harry Truman's grandson.
Now, not his great-grandson, his grandson.
His grandson, and he does this one-man show impersonating his grandfather, telling various stories about being in the White House and wife Bess and daughter Margaret and all of that. It's a funny and fascinating show.
Now, if you're watching this on television, we have video of the actor portraying Harry Truman, who is his grandson. That's up on the screen right now.
Yes.
So how did you end up being able to get him?
I saw a review of this show in Chicago, and so I, through the internet, found a way to contact him and said, you really need to come. He's our Missouri favorite son. You need to come somewhere in Missouri and do this, and the state capitol couldn't be a better location for you to do that. And he liked the idea. And so, and also his wife graduated from Stevens College.
Okay, so there is a connection.
There's a connection there, too. She's traveling with him.
So when is the show running?
It's 4 performances, July 15th through the 17th. There's no dinner. It's just the show. Okay. But as normal, our patrons can bring in alcoholic libations, and we will have a complete concession stand.
Okay. So it is running July 15th?
15th, Thursday night, 16th, Friday night, and 2 shows on the 17th.
Okay. It's called Give 'Em Hell, Harry, and if people want to get tickets, the best way to do that is?
They can call our box office, 573-681-9612, or they can select their own seats and order online at ccpjc.org.
Okay. For any historians listening, will there be any possibility of being able to meet him and talk with him after the show?
We are trying to figure out. He has agreed to do a meet and greet, but we haven't figured that out. We're figuring it out this week. Once he arrives, he's not arriving until the night before the show.
Okay. Okay. So there won't be any rehearsal with him ahead of time.
There'll be one.
Yeah.
Tech rehearsal.
But he knows what he's doing. I mean,
we're the ones that have to spend the week getting ready for it, doing the lighting and all of that with his specifications.
Well, I wish you the very best of luck, Rob. Thank you so much for coming by. And again, the production is Give 'Em Hell Harry. It opens Thursday, runs Thursday, Friday, and two shows on Saturday.
Right.
You can go to the website for more information. Give it to us one more time.
Sure. ccpjc.org.
Okay, or just go to Google and Google Capital City Productions.
Right.
And it'll come up. Okay.
Right.
Best of luck.
Hey, thank you so much, Paul.
All right, now we're going to talk about the Columbia Crop Hunger Walk. And I want to introduce you to two people who are tell us about it. We have Edith Prince. Good to have you here, Edith.
Thank you.
Brad Boyd Kennedy. What is the Columbia Crop Hunger Walk? Why don't you take that, Edith?
Columbia Crop Hunger Walk is the community responding to hunger. And what we do is raise money to give to different agencies to help them with the distribution of food to those in need.
How much money are you hoping that you can raise with this walk? It's coming up in September, right?
Yes.
What's the goal?
In September, we raised just over $20,000.
$20,000?
Yes, and it was because of COVID, it was our first mostly online event. There were some local small walks.
So that was last September.
It was last September. So that's our minimum baseline. We always try to do a little better every year than we've done in the past.
So if you did $20,000 last year, all virtual, hopefully this year, maybe you can double it.
Ooh,
That'd be wonderful.
That's a lot of money.
Let's hope so.
So how are you, how does this work? What do people have to do?
Well, I can give you a couple of websites where people can register either individually or to join an existing small group that will be walking and gather pledges that way. You can donate online solely or drop off any cash or check donations at the site of the walk this year, which is the Columbia Ag Park.
Okay. That's a great place for it to start.
Yes.
The Columbia Ag Park. So what people do is you sign up to walk a certain number of miles. You get donations, you get sponsors to sponsor you, and then all that money goes to this event.
Exactly.
How many people are you hoping will sign up to walk?
Oh, boy. 100 or 200.
Yeah. Well, set your sights higher. 300 or 400 people. Hey, you know what? The more you ask for, you might get it.
True.
So you're wanting anywhere between 300 and 400 people to sign up for this co-op walk.
As many as possible.
Exactly,
Yes,
exactly.
yes.
And you know that money is going to stay here in the community, right?
Well, 25% of it does. We operate all crop hunger walks in the country, and there's over 1,000.
Oh, there are?
Yes,
There are over
and-
1,000 crop hunger walks?
And they are under the umbrella of Church World Service.
Okay.
They're an international organization that does hunger and disaster relief. So 75% of the money we raise goes to them for their...
And it's spread out then?
Yes,
It's spread out.
throughout the United States and the world, but 25% stays here, excuse me, for 4 local hunger relief
Okay.
agencies.
Well, it's important. People are hungry not just here, but they're hungry everywhere.
Yes.
If you are not familiar with what an end-of-life doula is or does, why don't you go ahead and explain that, Mickey, and we'll go from there.
Well, in a capsule, I educate, encourage, and empower people who are close to death and their families so that it makes it an easier transition for them.
How do you approach somebody and get them to open up and talk about it?
Well, it's not easy to do, but you can sometimes refer to someone else's experience so that you can say, I was talking to my friend Jane, and she said when her parents died, they hadn't made very good plans. And I was wondering if we should talk about that a little more and kind of ease them in with somebody else's story.
Right. So you want to make plans to make sure, if nothing else, that the people that you care about, the people that you love, are taken care of. You don't want to just dump this all on them without any kind of preparation.
Exactly. And you don't want them to have to be making major decisions when they're already very sad and stressed.
Right. It's not fair.
For them then to have to decide, am I going to be cremated, or am I going to have a traditional burial? Or, what am I going to do with things? And if we talk about death ahead of time, and I don't mean like the week the doctor says you're on hospice and you're going to be gone next week.
When you're well, when you don't have any problem, talk about it. Make plans. Have your living will there.
It's very empowering, and you can do things like tie up all your loose ends if you're willing to talk about it. You can do that advance directive. You can plan for your vigil. Do you want all your neighbors to come in there when you're dying? Do you want soft music? Would you like to have essential oils flowing in the air around you? Different people want different things. You can plan for the disposition of your body, whether it's cremated or buried.
And what you decide one day, you may change the next day. I've changed 3 or 4 times of what I want done.
and that's okay.
Yeah, it is.
And if you have an advance directive and you've appointed a person who's going to be in charge of that last time, then you can always be in contact with that person and you can talk about, I've changed my mind.
Yeah.
I'd like to do something different. If you are willing to talk about it, you can talk to people like your doctor. Tell your doctor what you want. You can talk to your family, your pastor. At my church, Missouri Methodist, we have a file that people can come in and make plans, make plans for their funeral long before they need to.
Yeah.
And then it's there. So the pastor has a little bit of an outline of what you want or what hymns you want. And I think it's also really important to talk to your close friends. Let them know what you want because they'll be around. And if you talk about it, maybe it will make them more comfortable to be around.
I've read so many things and people saying, when I'm gone, don't mourn me. Just talk about me as if I'm still here. Laugh, carry on, and remember the good times that we had, because I'll still be with you. Even though my body may not be here, I'm still here. So just act as if I'm still around.
Yes, and that's why we've had a transition from old traditional funerals where people wailed
I remember that.
And they were very hard on people. Now we call those celebrations of life.
They're called celebrations of life.
We talk about the good things people do.
Exactly.
One hospice I worked with had a social worker who would plan funerals.
Funerals.
And you would have a funeral before someone died. So you can have your funeral, tell those stories. Sometimes I read obituaries and I say, oh my goodness, I wish I had known that person.
Yeah.
If we have funerals, then those people know some of the things you did that nobody's ever talked about.
Just keep in mind, it's going to happen to you. It's going to happen to me. It's going to happen to each and every one of us. There is no escaping. There's no escaping
That's
it.
right.
We're going to pass on from this world to the next at one point in our life, just as sure as we were born. And it's not fair to dump it all on your loved ones without some kind of preparation there.
That's right. The other thing you can do, if you're willing to talk about it, you can make a when I die bag. I have a big satchel that has all my insurance papers, my will. It has songs and an outline for my funeral. It has the passwords to my computer.
You've got it all in your when I die bag.
Yes, and my daughter knows where it is, and we've talked about it. And so when that happens, she won't just be lost. She'll know who the funeral director is, and it'll make it easier.
It's a sad time when you lose somebody that you love, but it also should be a time of celebration. And remember, that person is still with you, no matter what.
Yes.
Right?
And we can start that conversation. You can either phone me or text me, or you can come to our Death Cafe on the fourth Saturday of each month.
And that's a Zoom, right?
That's a Zoom.
Okay.
But you have to contact me first so we can get you on the Zoom.
Today, you have something we have not dealt with before, and that's... well, what would you call it?
Well, I'd say that assistive technologies are technologies that help people with disabilities to be able to better function and communicate.
Okay, someone who would have a disability in speaking, the machine or this app that you can download on your phone can interpret what that person is saying and then play it back for the other people that this person is trying to communicate with.
Right, exactly. So I was thinking about this because a mutual friend of ours, Kathleen Weincheck, and I'm sure a lot of people here in Columbia knew Kathleen, and she was a fantastic woman, did a lot with her life, but she had a disability that made her speech very difficult to understand.
Right, and so she was always in a wheelchair. You would see her around town, and she would always talk to you.
Yes.
Always talk to you.
She wanted to communicate, but that was a real barrier for her in a lot of ways, of communicating with folks that didn't understand what she was trying to say, or maybe didn't have the time to learn how to listen to her. But what this app does, I'll play a short segment, and this person doesn't have big problems with their speech, but you can hear the phrase, "I like chocolate." And that goes into a computer that has been trained on this person's specific voice. So it's trained per person.
Okay? Play that. Play the person back again with the disability. "I like chocolate."
Okay. Did you get what that is?
No, I could barely hear it.
Okay.
One more time.
Okay. Well, let me try it one more time. Let me make sure my volume's turned up and all that.
"I like chocolate."
Okay. And now?
"I like chocolate."
Okay.
Oh, the person was saying, "I want chocolate."
Yes, I like chocolate. And then the much clearer version is one that you and I can probably pick up on much more quickly.
So how does the machine learn to understand what that person is saying?
Well, what the person has to do is they have to train the machine in their voice. And so the machine will come, or the machine, you always use the word machine, so I've started to use it too.
Okay, it's not the machine.
The program will come with a list of phrases that the person needs to say, and the more they say those phrases and the more samples the machine learning algorithm or the program can get, the better it's going to do. Okay.
So the program is going to come up with a list of phrases or words that it is telling the person with the handicap to repeat.
Yes.
It will then learn what their voice sounds like.
Right.
When it hears it, it will play back the phrase for the people that they're communicating with.
Right, or it can even play it back for a device. So for example, the Alexa devices allow us to control things in our home and do all sorts of stuff, right? Well, think about that. If you had a disability and Alexa didn't understand your voice, well, this can then be used to interface with the Alexa, so you can say, turn on the lights, turn on the TV, turn down the sound, you know, call Paul, you know, whatever I need for it to do. So this is one of the benefits. I know you and I are both a little suspicious of AI sometimes, but this is one of the good stories about AI being used.
Yeah. It's, I know I've said it before, but every time you come out here with new technology, it just kind of explodes inside my head, because I'm an old-fashioned guy, and thinking of these machines talking, and you don't call them machines. What do you call them?
Just a software or application.
The software. You're talking to the software. I still find it fascinating that I can pick up the smartphone and ask Google a question, and that Google understands what I'm saying and has the answer back within a half a second or so.
Right. And, you know, I just think about it too, this, like you're saying, the rapid increase in quality that we have in these types of applications. Think about a baby born today that's going to have a similar disability that Kathleen had, and the benefits they're going to get over their lifespan of having these technologies around that she was not able to benefit from, or at least not for the majority of her time.
Now, you're teaching a couple, or you're giving a couple of classes?
Yeah, so tomorrow in the evening, as well as Friday morning, I will be teaching a couple of seminars on machine learning. So we'll spend about an hour or so, and I'll actually show you how this is done, how we actually train the machine. So we'll use our phones and we'll train the machine. It's open to anybody. Some of my students are going to be joining. They actually suggested that I open it up to anybody who wanted to attend. And if you go to learnabout.ai, so learnabout.ai. That's our site that we put together for all these great resources. You'll find at the very top some links to register.
And it's free of charge?
Free of charge.
It is a Zoom class?
It is a Zoom class. And I think we're all familiar with that by now.
Yeah.
Maybe all tired of it by now.
Okay, I've got one question for you here, and I may have asked you this before. I was watching a show the other day on DVD, and I know most people are streaming now. DVD is old-fashioned, according to our director, Travis. But I was watching a show, and there was an actor on there. When the show was over, I didn't catch the credits, and it was name. I played it back again, and name wasn't on the credits. I picked up the phone and I asked the Google lady,
right,
who was the person that played this character in the Waltons program, right. And I gave the title of the show. Within a second or two, she came back with that. Now, this was a show that was made back in the 1970s.
Right.
How does that work? How did she come up with it so fast?
Well, because they're searching the internet just like you and I would if we were at a computer, but searching Wikipedia, it's searching all these other resources that are out there and then bringing that back very quickly.
But it's like there's no question you cannot ask that Google lady that she doesn't have the answer for.
Do you sit around at night and play Stump the Google Lady?
No, I don't, but every question I've asked the Google lady.
Well, maybe you just need to ask smarter questions, Paul.
Oh, thank you. That's a good comeback. That's really good. So if you want to see if you come back here again. Just kidding. You're welcome back here anytime. Anyway, if people want to come to your class via Zoom, you're having it again when?
Yeah, it's tomorrow night and Friday, and go to learnabout.ai.
Okay, and you can visit Scott's website, and we'll have you back again real soon.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.